What's going
Oh,
on?
it looks like we've got a pretty full room here already. Very punctual community that we have. Mate, there's a lot
I
going
mean,
on.
we're known for our timeliness, aren't we? Isn't that a,
Yeah.
a standard kind of expectation in this community? Everything's always on time to the second.
When? Now,
When?
but we've punched out so much information and announcements and launches and all the rest of it. But I've had a quick look through our questions here, and it's a broad scope. I think we should get straight into it today, mate. I mean, just to kick things off, I'm Mo Meta. I'm in charge of remedial reading. And Alex is the VP of community, and he's going to be answering these fantastic questions today, which I'll be endeavoring to read. And hey, mate, where do you want to start today? You got a little bit of a highlight that you want to kick us off with?
Yeah, I mean, I was really happy to see the first episode of Futureverse TV go live this week. It's been a long time in the works and something that we've been alluding to for some time to come. Really great opening episode, overwhelmingly positive feedback. There was some kind of technical feedback from some of the people in the community, like Schiller, just around how some of it might flow better. So appreciate that sort of feedback as well, and pass that on to the team. We're always looking to improve anywhere that we can, and really excited to get the second episode, which will be one of our technical deep dives, out of the way. I believe that one's coming in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, great to see that new content coming through, and we'll continue to feed key questions from the community, especially ones that I can't answer in 30 minutes max, into the programming for those upcoming shows.
Yeah, it really is a great platform for it. So let's get in behind and support Craigo. And I've seen him out on a few Twitter spaces as well. So it's just nice to have him out there, out in the community, doing his bit, flying the flag, if you will. Now, the first question I've got here, Alex, is what is asset ID 5220 in the Vortex account? What is it? What's that about?
That is the liquidity pool token for the XRP ASTO pair. So it represents the share of the liquidity of that provider, an entity who adds liquidity to the pair. So you'll see similar stuff like this happen when various liquidity pairings are launched, through, especially, people able to make their own pairings through the decentralized exchanges and that as they start to roll out.
Cool. All right. Now, I know a few people have noticed that I'm going to pronounce it Moai. I'm not even sure how to say that. Do you know how to say that correctly, Alex?
I'm going to go with like Moai. I think it's named after the Easter Island heads.
Ah, I see. Okay, Moai. Can you speak to Moai Financial Partnership? They have publicly announced that they are launching DEX at the end of year in partnership with Futureverse on Root Network, and have come into Discord, but there's no official comms around it at this stage. Any formal announcements you can make at this stage? Thank you, Alex.
No formal announcements at this stage. We'll make a formal announcements when we're ready to. We're pretty far along with them, and they may choose to leak and share some info from their side before we're ready to from our side. But all of the official comms from our side will come in due course, and it's, once again, as a third party, it's up to them if and when they release certain pieces of information.
Perfect. Now, for anybody who's new here, the questions I'm reading have all been submitted into the 30 Minutes Max channel on Futureverse Discord. If you've got questions like this, that's the place to put them. And always think about how you write them, because that is how I'm going to read them. We're going straight to the next one. ASM appears to be very integrated into the Futureverse. While immersive, if you don't know immersive, that's our another part of our roll-up, for example, appears to have a more distinct company with a CEO. Can you shed some light on how ASM as a company and immersive differ as to how they are presented within the Futureverse ecosystem?
Yeah. So I think one of the key things to understand here is that immersive deal. Sorry, we've got a hot mic there. Who's that? Okay, that's fine. One of the key things to understand there is that immersive, being a financial payments provider, is subject to a whole range of different financial regulations and legal requirements, that it makes far more sense for them to continue sort of operating as a separate entity and as part of the Futureverse ecosystem, rather than have them kind of completely bundled into Futureverse and have Futureverse as a whole have to be held to those same financial regulatory standards. But I guess to the other part of the question, which is more about ASM, and also, is there a separate AI division to the ASM team? The ASM team is one of the core companies like Non-Fungible Labs as well, and Silo, all being rolled into Futureverse. We're not separate teams anymore. It's all Futureverse. There is a AI innovation department, and that is led by David, who was the former CEO of ASM, and they deal with the bulk of the company's AI research.
Good one. And I'll just give a quick shout out to Jerome and Michelle from Immersive and their whole team. Love having them part of our ecosystem. And it's amazing what they're doing. If you don't know about what Immersive is doing, you've got to check it out. Oh, we've got a bonus question coming up here. Can you share any stories from the Futureverse Christmas party? Alex?
Only one that I'll share was that there was some pretty epic limbo antics going on at one point in the night. But we all need an opportunity to blow off steam as well, and I think that's all I can say without throwing anyone under the bus. Scott, do you have any fun stories from the party, having flown over from Aussie for it?
I flew over to get some serious work done and some FaceTime, but an IRL with the team. And what better than a party to do that? But no one wanted to talk to me at the party, Alex, because I was so busy talking shop with you that I'd come over and go, oh shit, they're talking work, and they'd leave us. But we've always got a lot of catch up on you and I, so it's hard not to. Yeah, great party.
It is funny to kind of work with someone online for so long and then suddenly have that kind of face-to-face interaction, and I think we were both like, you look different in person.
But I sound the same. That's what's important.
And buttery smooth.
All right. Next question. Is there a filter function in the pipeline for the Futureverse collectibles page? And I guess that's on.
Yeah. So that'll be on the stuff page for the FuturePass dashboard. Yes, that is something that is in development. There's been some other key stuff that we've been prioritizing around, like the token bridging, collectible bridging, all that sort of stuff, which you will have seen. There was an update relating to that last week. But this is something that is in development and is one of the next key tasks on the roadmap once we get through these next few tasks.
Cool. All right, we're going to get straight into an ASM question. Really excited to have all my cars in my garage now. I'm really stoked about that. So if a user sells their ATOM Car Club card but keeps the car, can they still access the garage or future utility like races?
Yes. So if you have a car, you can race. But at this stage, you can't access a garage without a card, and there's plenty of other utility around part swapping, etc., that will come through the ownership of cards as well. But we'll release more information on those fronts in due course.
Now, the next one I was actually fearing was this ridiculously long question, but it's valid. But I can see you've gone and amended it in here, and it now just says a seriously long question about AI League and account abstraction. So obviously you've figured out how you want to approach this one, and I'll let you carry it on.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth and from various people in the channel around this question. So I think if you want the full context, feel free to jump in there. Basically, the question was around how are we handling account abstraction for those users that are playing AI League currently, as it doesn't appear that the on-chain data reflects the numbers that have been stated publicly. So yes, we have created FuturePass accounts for those users. They will work for those users as soon as we allow them to interact on-chain. But at present, those key pairs are kept off-chain, hence why you can't see this data on-chain. In terms of the later part of that question around how the collectibles will become kind of tradable, so the AI League collectibles will be able to be claimed by the owners in the future. They are all stored currently in that one kind of AI League wallet, but they'll be distributed through that kind of process of unlocking, users being able to kind of unlock them and take ownership and be able to trade them as they would any other on-chain token. And more information around this will come in due course.
Yeah, I think that's the best we can do with that for now. All right, Silo is on Coinbase. Can we get ASTO on Coinbase or some other exchange? Americans can't use any of the current exchanges that offer ASTO. What's going on?
So obviously the main focus right now is Root in regards to exchanges. We will explore additional exchange listings for ASTO, Silo, etc. when the timing is right. But if you're struggling to get hold of ASTO, for example, through centralized exchanges at the moment, you can always use decentralized exchanges.
Yep. All right. I'm going to probably screw up the pronunciation of this one, but I'll give it a go. Is the Shininen Group still affiliated with Futureverse? They led ASM's $11 million round. If so, what role are they playing?
So the Chernin Group is still affiliated with Futureverse, but we're not at liberty to discuss what's happening with our partners behind the scenes.
And that's the answer for that one. Okay. I'm going to skip the next one because it looks like you're still looking at it.
No, take it.
Okay, let's go. Is there a compensation mechanism for those who are receiving Root late because of all the issues that can't stake and therefore cannot receive max rewards?
No, short answer is no. There won't be any additional compensation. As we've laid out from the start, this is all an ongoing process of helping us test our products and services, and FuturePass, FutureScore in of itself is one of those products. So we are working hard to get all of those outstanding distributions sorted. I have a call directly after this actually to run through the last few outstanding ones and get to the bottom of those. But we won't be offering any sort of additional compensation above and beyond the actual Root tokens that are already being paid out.
And I can feel the way this next question is going to be answered just by the way it's been written. Will Quest 4 be 1-to-1 again in the ratio, the FutureScore versus Root? Grateful for anything, just curious from a math perspective.
So we can't reveal the rewards before they go out. This will be for you all to see once those rewards are distributed.
Now the next one here. Why was there a 4% failure rate on Root reward distributions for Quest 3? Do we as builders have to account for this when submitting bulk transactions? Or has this been addressed technically and not projected to be a problem in the future?
So that has nothing to do with on-chain activity. It's nothing to do with the way that the network itself functions. The certain accounts that failed to receive rewards or completing a quest when they were due to was actually more due to the fact that we were working with an external third party for Quest 3, and the process of getting all of the accurate data and ensuring that had been kind of cross-referenced against the different other data points was not as clean as we would like. So in the process, we noticed a lot of inconsistencies, and the team have been working hard to get all of those resolved as soon as possible. But it's nothing to do with on-chain functionality.
Cool. All right, this one starts with when. When is the email login for FuturePass going to be live? If we rephrase these questions in a different way, like starting not with when, I think they're going to get a better answer, but I'll leave that one with you, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, as you know, we don't generally answer when questions, but this one is pretty straightforward. We are working on this as a key feature around account abstraction for FuturePasses. We expect to have this live by likely early end of Jan, if not sooner. Bulk of the work is done. We're just putting some final touches on before we send it out for auditing.
Excellent. All right. Can we have any information about wrapped root? I've missed one, but I'll get back to it, Alex. Don't worry.
Yeah. So that would be the ERC20 version of root. The only information that we can currently provide on that is that there will be an ERC20 version of root available, and you'll be able to bridge that, between Ethereum to the native root token on the root network. But we can't say anything more at this time.
Of course, and that question I missed was, can Vortex be used for gas?
Yes, in theory it can. As long as it has a pairing against XRP on the root network, any token can be used as gas.
Great. Will we get to bridge our fluffs before the end of year? And there's a little note in here mentioning Chinese New Year background.
Yes, so the bridging for all collectibles is expected to go live before the end of Chinese New Year.
That's what we want to hear. All right, someone's using big words in here to try and throw me off Okay. How will Futureverse navigate the tension between wanting mass dissemination and adoption of NFT-gated Futureverse technology and the expectations of Genesis asset holders that some features will be reserved for them? I see the utility gap between Gen 1 and Gen 2 brains becoming increasingly narrow.
So I think it's important to understand here that our goal has and always will be mass adoption. It's the only way that we can be successful as a business. And if we are successful as a business, then the holders of all of our collectibles, especially those that hold, high level, higher value Genesis collectibles, are going to win in that process as well. Now, there is obviously some key pieces of functionality and utility that holders of certain collectibles, Genesis collectibles, etc., will have either priority or exclusive access to. But those will continue to reveal themselves over time as we continue rolling out more and more products. It is important to understand, though, that we have to prioritize mass adoption because that's the only long-term sustainable approach for us.
Built to scale. That's what we're all about.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, when can we purchase moon rocks and junk using bridged ASTO on the root network?
Sorry. So it's not yet. It is something that's on the roadmap, but it's we're prioritizing some other core functionality for root network at the moment.
We'll see more of that infrastructure rolling out over the next few weeks. Now, with regard to 20% root allocation to land mechanics, how much of that 20% do you anticipate will go to landowners versus individuals just playing games on land who are not landowners? Wow, this is a long way out, this question. How much of this allocation will be gamified?
I really can't. I can't reveal any information around land mechanics at this stage, and I'm certainly not going to speculate on percentage distributions.
I love this next question, just purely because of the size of it. Can we get some clarity on selling our assets in the future?
Cool. I mean, you can buy and sell your stuff whenever you want. I think the context around this is people not being happy with Mark in its current state. But there is no problem with buying or selling on Mark at present. In my opinion, and based on the conversations that I've had and the key feedback from the community, the three main features currently missing from Mark are a collection activity tab, so you can see all of the latest collection activity against a specific collection, trait filtering on collections, and updating the indexer to load faster. There are some load time issues. There are obviously a number of other updates which can and will be made in due course that will improve the overall user experience. But those three ones, in my opinion, are the key ones, and that's what's been pushed through to the Halo Labs team to focus on. Outside of that, I mean, yeah, Mark is a mostly functional marketplace. There's certainly areas that it needs to improve, but it doesn't stop anyone from buying or selling. And as we've always said, anyone is welcome to build on the Root network. If people aren't happy with Mark, then they're welcome to build their own marketplace. And my understanding is that Daniel Smith Dev is currently building one. So there will be other options
that needed to be identified. In this situation, Sophie must report the transaction.
Excuse me.
All right.
Someone wants my job.
Someone was just getting a direct feed out of their ChatGPT or something. I don't know what that was.
All right, I've got one more question here. I don't know if it's one we can even answer, but after that, if there's any questions coming from the room, we want to hear them. So let me get this one out of the way. Can we expect some bazookas regarding IP that won't be just Futureverse experience and something we can actually take ownership of?
I don't really understand this question, to be honest. But as always, we don't discuss our partnerships before we're ready to. But yeah, I mean, if you're able to provide more context to what you mean here, I'm happy to elaborate further. But I just don't really understand that question. I mean, all of the partnership announcements that we've put out have had some form of community involvement or ownership to date. So I don't. Maybe I'm missing something here.
And that opens us up to the floor. I mean, a lot has happened over the last week since we were on here last. Surely there's some questions. Just jump in if you got one.
GM. I just wondering, I guess, if maybe some light could be shed. I would imagine we should be getting Quest 4 rewards here in the next day or two, or maybe a few days. And then I think there might be a little bit of confusion on Quest 2 ending and when those rewards. So if you can, I'm not asking for an exact when, but just maybe like a general broad overscope of when those rewards might be distributed.
Yeah, so Quest 4, we are working to try and get those out as soon as possible this week. Currently it's looking like sort of tomorrow, I'd say very early next week at the latest. We've just had a few other things that we need to get pushed through first to facilitate that. And the Quest 2 rewards, we're just ensuring that we manage expectations. There is a fair bit of work that will go into accurately distributing those rewards, as we've seen with some of the other distributions. When that's more complex calculations involved, we would rather ensure that we take the time to get that distribution done right, and make sure that we've learned from the mistakes around, say, like the Quest 3 process, take some of the weight off our support team, who have been doing an incredible job kind of dealing with the hundreds and hundreds of tickets that have been coming in, and ensure that the processes that we're putting in place for reward distribution are essentially kind of templated and able to be scaled across all future quests. So the Quest 2 rewards, it's looking like, as pointed out in the tweet, potentially, in the weeks following. We're trying to just manage expectations there on that front. Hopefully we can get it done sooner. But, we'd rather kind of under promise and over deliver on that front than vice versa.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate the clarity.
No worries.
Yeah, I think that's a really important one. I'll just give it to you in a moment, Son. But for that Quest 2, it's definitely going to be weeks, not days. It's so important to make sure we get that one right, especially as we'll be having a lot more people coming into the ecosystem. We want everyone to be really happy with the staking and how it's working. So give us the time we need on that one, guys. Appreciate it. Som, you had something?
I only see one that just came in that says Win Quest 5, but don't really think we can answer that one.
I mean, it'll be this month.
There you go. Let me double check Steph's question.
Win Quest 6 next month.
Steph,
If
you
I
put
see
in
a
30
win
minutes max.
question now, I'm going to flip my table.
I have a question.
Great.
Shoot.
So I was wondering if there's any updates on helping sends and the goal of the one-to-one burn.
Nothing official that we can give at this stage, but I will check back in with leadership. I know there is a planned timeline around that, and I expect we'll be making the first announcement in relation to that I'd say within the next couple months.
Thanks for your question. Anybody else in the room got something they'd like to ask? Hit us up.
We did answer that
Yeah.
one, Steph. Will we get to bridge our fluffs before end of year? I believe we did answer that one, Alex.
Yep, I answered that. We're working to get all of that live before the end of the year, but at the very latest, it'll be by end of Jan.
Sweet. One more on here. Any info on tokenomics for next cycle? Will it be public by the end of Quest 2?
What specific tokenomics are you talking about? There's not really any change. The tokenomics are established. Information's gone out on that, and there's a full open page on that.
Sweet. Can you speak broadly to the KOL campaign?
So we have been working with external partners to run a exposure campaign through a series of KOLs from all over the world, targeting a range of different markets, especially ones that we are not currently very active in, around, say like the Middle East and that sort of thing. It's been interesting to watch roll out so far. It's dealing with so many different KOLs across different parts of the world and through different parties. There's, not everything's going to go 100% smoothly, but we have been seeing some really good results so far, and we'll expect to see that kick into the next gear over the next week or so. This is an important kind of part of.
Is there going to be more AMAs in relation to Aaron and Shara with the Root Network to speak to the broad current Web3 community, or is that going to be external only now?
I'll finish my previous answer first, and then I'll come to that. So where was I? Anyway, so the KOL campaign is ongoing. We've seen some really good results from it so far. I know various people have their own opinions about it. It's very much a, damned if you do, damned if you don't type situation. We've been working to grow our community and following as organically as possible. But as we start to expand more into the kind of traditional crypto world from just the kind of NFT world, there is basically a different rule book for how growth is achieved in that area. I understand that some people feel like it comes across a bit, messy, and that is part and parcel of the process, but we are seeing some really good results yielded from it. The question that came in halfway through there, in terms of AMAs, we have the structure with the new Futureverse TV content series, where we'll be establishing that so people can submit their questions prior, and they are all live feeds as well. So if people want to, ask questions in real time, and the team feel like answering those in real time, then they can do. But the primary setup of that, we want to ensure that it's packaged and presented more professionally. So for the most part, it'll essentially be that we'll send out like a type form or similar prior to each episode, and people will be able to submit questions prior. We will also take key questions that we've seen come up through the community, and ensure that those are kind of fed through as part of the programming for those episodes.
Hey, Tybo, did that answer your question?
Yeah, I must have cut out before when I asked that question. I didn't hear you before, Alex. Sorry for interrupting.
It's all right.
All good. One other person asked, are you still on schedule for 3 to 4 more quests this year?
So we're still definitely on schedule for one per month. Where there are some other ones that we're pushing through. Some of the work that we're doing right now is actually to basically platformize the quest structure so that it doesn't require as much development resource to execute a quest. At the moment, it's a bit heavier of a process logistically than we would like. So the team are working on basically platformizing that so that it can be streamlined and rolled out a lot easier. We are, still aiming to get out at least, one per month before the end of the year, and hopefully we can get that platformization process done before the end of the year, so we can start expediting the rollout of quests. But we'll have to keep you posted on that because there's a few other kind of critical pieces that have come through recently that have taken priority.
Now Tucker Carlson will be joined.
Please no, please. I don't want Tucker. Actually, it would be interesting if Tucker Carlson joined us on 30 Minutes Max. It would certainly increase our audience.
So we're not
Just
going to have
watch the
Joe Rogan
podcast.
and Tucker Carlson
Yeah.
on here? That'd be great. I'd be out of a job pretty quick though, unfortunately. All right, we're right on time now. Unless there's some more questions coming in, last chance.
I got
Aurora,
one.
I can't answer that one.
What have you got, Sol?
Someone live can go. There's a couple in chat that I can read off.
So I have one. And just thinking like on Silo, right? If there's any changes on how Silo is going to work in the ecosystem, maybe thinking in terms of like comparison with ASM, or thinking of like in terms of seekers.
Yeah, so we have committed to publishing a broad update to the strategic roadmap for Silo and how it's evolved from its original vision. We'll be publishing that before the end of the year. One of the key parts that we've released recently is like the asset register and how that plays into the kind of broader vision of Silo being like data about you. That's something that was never in the kind of original roadmap for Silo. There has been some questions come through just around some of the current mechanics with Silo, which I'm working on with the team, and I'll get back to those in the Silo channel of TRN. But expect a broad strategy update for Silo around before the end of the year.
Thank you.
For those of you asking for a POTA raffle, you know that the best way to win a POTA right now is to go create content. So content creators of the month, first time winners will receive a POTA. So get out there and make some content and it could be yours.
Beautiful. See a question around, it's kind of a when question around when we'll get Quest 2 rewards. We can't answer that.
I've already touched on that.
Sorry about that. Cooldown period after we unstake in 4 days. If you choose to unstake, can we restake again immediately or wait for next cycle?
You stay staked.
Yeah,
it doesn't automatically unstake you at the end of the cycle. Otherwise, we would lose all staked tokens on the network at the end of every cycle. Your tokens stay staked until you choose to unstake them. There's a 28-day cooldown period, so you start that by unbonding. Once those 28 days are finished, then you can remove those tokens.
Very good. One other one, any chance we could learn about the database issue with the ATOM claim? Anything we can share there?
No, nothing really that we can share in terms of what happened there, but it has been resolved and we've taken some lessons from that in terms of how we ensure more robust database structures moving forward.
Awesome. And then any word on ASTO Energy or anything we can share around that?
Not at this stage. I touched on earlier in relation to AI League and the ability for users there to be able to kind of unlock their collectibles from AI leaked into on-chain assets for trading. There will be an ASTO energy component that ties into that, but we'll release further information on that in due course.
Awesome.
Just a fun question to maybe end it, but are fluff dresses full-length nouns or club dresses?
Haven't we released the full body models with dresses as well? I think some of them are reasonably short, so I'd say more of the club dress. But you know, with more wearables and swappables coming, you can build the dress of your dreams and be the prettiest girl at the ball.
I think that's a pretty nice place to end it right there. What a mental picture that paints. All right.
I have to say, it's not exactly a linear line of questioning that we get in the show. It definitely comes from all angles. So I do my best.
Man, anyone new to this ecosystem who jumps into one of these is just going to be like, what are these people talking about? And that's why we need to help them. We need to help them. We're going to bring them in. We're going to show them the love, and we're going to bring them on the journey with us because we've been on it for a while, right? Like, we get it. But
yeah, and I think Shara made a good point on the Futureverse TV show that it's going to only continue growing and becoming more complex of an ecosystem as we introduce more IP, more partners, etc. There isn't an expectation that anyone should be across everything. It's really about finding what brand, what experience, etc. Speaks to you, and the areas that you want to engage in. If you want to go deeper into tech, and that's something of interest to you, there will be plenty of resources on that side. If you're more just interested in the game experiences, then by all means. Whereas if you're really trying to cover all bases and stack that future score, then that's up to you as well. So by all means, as you said, as more people come in, help them out, take them on the journey with us. But it can be very overwhelming. So maybe best not to just completely bombard them with too much information, and let them kind of choose which elements of the incredible Futureverse ecosystem they want to engage with.
And of course, make sure they're aware we have 2 Discords and 2 channels on X, being Futureverse and the Root Network. And thanks to everybody out there for giving the Root Network so much love over the last week. We've seen an exponential growth and new people coming in, and it's the perfect time to do it. So I just want to thank everybody and give you all a shout out for that. Great work. But I mean, I think it's time we wrap things up. We're 40 minutes max. So
Amen.
any final words, Alex?
No, I think, just to reiterate, I'm pretty sure it was at the end of last week's 30 minutes max, you kind of put a call to arms for everyone to really get out and start, sharing and trying to drive more engagement to the Root Network. We have seen a massive increase in followers on that front, massive increase in engagement. Stay steady the course, keep doing what you're doing, keep welcoming and educating new people as they come into the ecosystem. This is a really great opportunity for us. The market's looking pretty strong altogether, and I think we're in a prime position to really capitalize on this. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep being, in my opinion, the best community in Web3, and let's prove that to everyone else.